Hello, thanks for stopping by the Mr. Fide channel. This is Mr. Fide. I myself am not really speaking for myself. I offer nothing more than opinions other than what I can interpret from Margaret Singer's book, Cults in Our Midst. I would like to thank all of you who have come back and welcome any first-time viewers. I particularly would like to thank all of you who have left positive comments and feedback, while at the same time I also invite anyone who has issues to express them in the comments. I will occasionally cite other sources. Again, I want to restate that I am not a professional in this subject matter. In this second part of Chapter 3, we will be touching on exactly how Singer claims brainwashing is accomplished. Because the intention of this series is to investigate claims made by many that suggest that the Church of Scientology uses brainwashing techniques, I will not be taking this task lightly, and I will, to the best of my limited ability, be seeking the most documented claims. But for the most critical observers of this video, please note that any direct claims in this series are, of course, in my humble opinion. I do not claim to have any complete understanding of what is trying to be accomplished in the practices of Scientology. In the first part of this chapter, we discuss the history of terms that are often referred to as brainwashing, and that brainwashing was a term coined by a reporter, not a professional in the study of mind control. So brainwashing is the term that I thought I would try to use because of its loose definition. And when referring to it, I am talking about suggested guidance, either mild or severe, from one individual to another through any number of channels. The next section of Singer's book is called Attacking the Self, where I will paraphrase Singer saying, "There is an important distinction to be made between the 1940s and 50s in prison camps and political movements than what is used in cults and large group awareness training programs. Today's programs are designed to be destabilizing and undermine the individual's consciousness, reality awareness and beliefs, emotional control, and defense mechanisms. Brainwashing is a subtle and powerful psychological process of induced dependency." When thinking about Singer's words, induced dependency, I'm reminded of a video I saw a few months ago by Winged Blue here on YouTube. She is a counselor who drew a connection between cultic groups and people in abusive personal relationships. We all know someone who has stayed in a relationship with either physical or psychological abuse in hopes that things get better and happiness will eventually ensue when certain problems have been handled. And I'll do my best to add a link to that series in the info box. According to Singer, the brainwashing used in cultic groups is fortunately not permanent or 100% effective. And I personally assume she meant that, at least for some people, with a certain degree of time away from the group, that the brainwashing becomes less and less effective. She points this out because some unnamed groups suggest that not everyone joins or stays in our group, so we must not be using brainwashing. This leads us to the next section of Chapter 3. How brainwashing works. Some people may think that this information is too dangerous to put on YouTube where people with any intention could find it. I can only assume and firmly believe that Singer was of my opinion that it is more dangerous for this information not to be where the public can easily find it. Singer discusses the story of Patty Hearst, who claimed that after a certain amount of time with her kidnappers, the thought of escaping never occurred to her. She claims to have been convinced that because she was involved in other activities with the group that she assumed it would actually be much worse to escape and leave her captors, who she began to see as protectors. I'm reminded of the recent case of Michael Devlin. Michael Devlin kidnapped a young boy, Sean Hornback, and raised him a few miles from his home in Kansas, where he could have easily escaped. Details of his situation have not become public to my knowledge. With these extreme examples, is it really that much of a stretch to assume that a person can be convinced of living past lives and use the knowledge from those past lives to help make the world a better place? It's not like they're being asked to assist in armed robbery. What are they really being asked to believe? I don't know. Is it that medical doctors want to make more money and take Fridays off to play golf, so they sell their souls to the drug companies? That doesn't sound too far off from what many people have thought when trying to make a doctor's appointment. If that is the case, regardless if it's true or not, should the entire profession be gotten rid of? Could that pattern escalate into fanaticism? Could the issue of isolation, as I mentioned in the first segment of Chapter 1, possibly lead to a groupthink mentality? Deviating from the book, an experiment taught in many undergraduate psychology classes showed that when the test subject was in a group of 9 others that were all instructed to give the same wrong answer when asked the color of a line painted on the wall, the test subject, around 80% of the time, would agree with the answer regardless of their true belief. In other words, when 9 conspirators were each instructed to say the color they saw on the wall was blue when in fact it was green, the test subject would predominantly go along with the group's evaluation. This experiment does not constitute brainwashing, but it does make me ask myself this question. Could it be that the real reason people are declared a suppressive person or an SP be that it would result in them being shunned from the rest of the group? Could it be that Scientology does not want outside influences or ideas to corrupt their members? I think these are questions that many seek to have answered. It is for this reason that it deeply concerns me when Tom Cruise, who is Scientology's Medal of Valor winner, imagines a world where SPs, that some people say are synonymous with dissenters, are only talked about in history books. Are they really just saying you can have your own beliefs, just don't have them here? As a result of that single video being released to the public, the Church of Scientology has gotten even more attention than I believe they feared. YouTube has now been flooded with almost 40,000 videos relating to Scientology. Some of them in the last 6 months have received more than 1 million views. It is believed that the Church of Scientology has spent $1 million and more on counter-advertising and, it seems, various forms of deception with other issues related to this video. It is almost understandable for me that the Church of Scientology would want to deter people from protesting their buildings. But when deception is practiced by anyone to keep people from protesting in a nation's capital, I am very concerned. I worry now that I have become a little long-winded for this segment while expressing my own personal thoughts, questions, and ideas about the book Cults in Our Midst, and I know I have promised to dive into the process and techniques for brainwashing, so let me get directly to that, and we will pick up on it again in Chapter 3, Part C. Picture your minds as ice cubes. If those ice cubes melt into water and can go through a change, for example, it could be mixed with Kool-Aid to illustrate a change of ideas, if you refreeze it, you now have a popsicle. Once your mind is in the popsicle state, even if it is melted down again, it would require several filtering processes to turn the liquid back into water and then refrozen back into an ice cube. If that doesn't make sense to you, and now that I think about it, I don't know how it would, stop by for my next segment where I will be discussing the criteria for change set forth in Margaret Singer's Cults in Our Midst. I'm Mr. Fide.